Testing, 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 testing. Figure that out after. There should be a link for it here somewhere. No, that's not it. Where is it here? Build kernels. Download sources, build tools, repo. Hello, Zero. Are you struggling to understand what I am saying? Well, we will start from the beginning here in a minute after I smoke a bong. And we'll go from there. Now, if and only if I can find my lighter. Somewhere here. So, Alrighty, so I'm going to send you guys these pages here. They are very useful for building. Whoops. Excuse my coughing, I just smoked a bong. So, the first page you guys want to look at is this page right here. Building kernels. You're going to want to get the repo. System speech translation. Oh. So first, you want to do what this is saying. Make the directory. It doesn't have to be named Android kernel. This is just what they use. And then then the CD puts you into the Android kernel. So first you create the directory, then you go into it. Then you're going to want to go to this page, and you're going to want to look through all here and find your repo branch. So this is whatever Android version you're currently on. So for me, I'm going to go down to common-android 14-5.15 and copy that. We'll be coming back to this page after to look at the kleaf support and build.sh support. So first you want to update your system. Then if you go back to the previous page, you scroll over to the right, you see your branch part. You can put whatever branch you want there. So right down here is my build script that I use. All these commands that you type in, you have to type them in one by one. I use a build script. It makes it a lot easier. You can just put in every single command you put in, and then just run the script, and it'll build your kernel every time for you. So this command right here, you're going to want to add --depth equals 1. This right here just downloads your current manifest you need to build your repo. And if you're wondering what a manifest is, you can just go to one of these files. A manifest is the file that tells your kernel what files it needs to build. So if you scroll down to here, you'll see the attached files. These are just examples. This is just custom manifests. This is an example of a manifest file. Don't worry, you don't need to know what this does. This just gets you all your current things you need for your building. This is everything you need right here for building. So once you do that, you run that command. That will get you what you need. Well, I guess, sorry. Let me go back here for a second. You also want to do sudo apt install repo. That's the program you're going to need. That's like, it's Google's version of Git. So like git clone, anything used for GitHub to copy repos, this is their own version. It's called repo. But then, yeah, you're going to want to run your command, repo init u, the URL, depth, branch, and then the branch you want. I want Android 14.5.15, so I just run that. It will do its thing, and then you're going to want to run this command. Repo sync current branch no tags j-mproc. So this just tells your computer to run it at its current speed so you won't overload your computer. And this stuff right here tells it what to download. So you want to do the current branch and no tags. So it will download whatever it needs. This right here downloads the minimum amount of files needed to build your kernel. It won't download any extra files. This is the longest part of it all. If you need to go get a cup of coffee, smoke a bong, do that now. This will take a minute. This is the longest part of it all, especially when you don't have great internet. Is anybody following along? Need any help? Just type into the Wild Kernel Plus chat, or even on YouTube chat, I guess I can look there too. So once your download has finished, you're going to want to, if you are on version, let's see, oh, whoops, wrong branch. Where is it? Right here. Step 11. For GKI kernels, Android 14 and above, if you're building from Google artifacts, that's what we're doing. We're using Google sources. You're going to want to remove these files right here. So that's what these two do. That's what these two commands do. So if you look at our current directory, ls, that will show you all of our current directories right here. This is your root directory. So when you see KernelSU, or not, sorry, KernelSU, when you see SUSFS, and it says kernel patches kernel root, this is your kernel root. Everything happens in this root. And then, so that's what that does. That's the kernel root. This is the kernel root. Android kernel, where all these were build, common modules, that's your kernel root. Well, these two commands just remove those unneeded files. So you run those. Then what you want to do is, we're just going to use base KernelSU. We're not going to use next, because next you have to do some manual patching, or you have to use their version of SUSFS, and I don't like doing that. So we're just going to use base KernelSU for today. If you can get through all this, you can do next, and you'll have no problems. So in your kernel root, you're going to want to run this command, and that'll set up KernelSU for you. There, so KernelSU is done. Then, what we're going to want to do is, let me see here, patch for GKI kernel step 2 here. We're going to want to where is it here? Right here. So then we need to go back a folder. So right now we're doing the directory above Android kernel. Right there, Android kernel. And you need to clone your branch of SUSFS. So the branch I'm using is GKI Android 14 4.15. You just go up here. I like cloning with HTTPS. Go down here, git clone. That, whoops. Git clone, branch, and then the branch you're using. So right now, if you run ls, you'll have your two directories. You have your SUSFS for KSU and your Android kernel. Now, what you're going to want to do is go into your Android kernel. And I like to do this. These are the commands you're going to want to run right here. I'm just changing this to the Android root. you remove all this, basically you just have to copy the files to the correct directories. Oops, I was already in the Android kernel, my bad. So this should work. If you take these, in your Android kernel, and you run these, it'll put all the files where they need to be. Now your next step is to go into the KernelSU directory. cd KernelSU. And now you're in the KernelSU directory. Then you want to patch it. So you want to take your patch file, which is enable P1. That's just how the patch works. And then 10 enable SUSFS for KSU patch. You want to run that. Now, you should see patching file and everything should patch successfully. If it doesn't, that means something is wrong somewhere in the line. And that's when you have to start doing manual patches. But the first step is we're just going to work on doing this and having all the patches work properly. We won't have to do anything. Then we want to go back a folder. And you want to now patch, run this next patch. Oh, sorry, you want to go into the common folder. And you want to run this next patch. Now this patch, the name will change according to whatever patch file you're running. So if you're in branch 6.1, you have your kernel patch, you'll have kernel patch Android 14 6.1. It all changes depending on whatever branch you're currently using. Patch P1 add SUSFS, and you'll see that it patched. If it says with offset, that just means it does it on different lines. It's fine. As long as it says succeeded, then we're good. So this is just custom patches. I would not worry about this first. I would make sure that you're just building your kernel. So in this command, all it does is, since I'm using Bazel to build, well, that's another thing. So when we get down here, we have to stop for a second, and we have to go back to our kernel branches. And you'll see that Android 14.15 uses kleaf support. So you're going to want to use Bazel to build. So this command right here is the one you need if you're on, whoops. This is the command that you need if you're on a Bazel. This will replace the maybe dirty string with whatever you want. I'm going to put wild exclusive. That's just what I'm going to put in mine. And if you don't understand any of this, ChatGPT is very helpful. It might seem like cheating, but it's not. It's very helpful. It's there. Use it as a resource. Oh, whoops, that's bad. I need to go back to a folder. Once you're in your Android kernel directory, you want to run the command. If you are running a build.sh version, and like I said, that's just how you check right here. You come to this page, and if it has a build.sh check mark, use that first. like how down here for these kernels they have both, use the official one. Use the one that has the check mark that says official. So mine uses kleaf support, which is Bazel. But if yours uses build.sh, you want to come down to my other file here and right here. Or right here, sorry. This command edits the set local version. This is just the way it works for lower versions since Android 14. So you're going to want to run this command, and you can change wild exclusive to whatever you want. The next part is, if you don't run this command, right here, let me just, there we go. If you don't run this command, you'll get an error when building, because you need to add some custom config files. So you run that. The next thing you want to run is, you don't need all of this. All this is unneeded. These are all just custom stuff that I put in. So I'll scroll down to my other file. And I will upload all updated versions of all my scripts here soon. Right here. So you only need to run these two, which echoes the config file into your GKI default config. That's the key. That's where the config file is for the one you're building. So that just puts these two lines into this file. And then you're also going to want to do it for these two. Well, really, it all depends on what you want to do. You're going to have to do some research into what all these do and figure out what ones you need. These are the only ones. These ones are all automatically on, so I don't need to put that there. This is all just extra code. But these two are ones that I want. So I put those in. I put those in there. And then you want to scroll down to right here. This is the build command for Bazel. Hi, honey. This is the build command for Bazel. So you want to run that if you're building Bazel. If you're building with the sh, you want to run this command. LTO thin build config build.sh, and that's in your root directory. So now you run it, and it'll start building. Now, if you get any errors through this step, it's most likely due to dependencies. You'll need to figure out what that dependency is and download it. There's a bunch of different dependencies. If you have any questions, just let me know. I can always help you. Now, while we are waiting for this, I'm going to show you this file right here. This is my all-in-one build. This is the file I run to build all these kernels at once. Now, my problem is right now, I'm at my parents' house and we don't have great internet here. So I've been releasing builds each section one by one, because if I try to build it all at once, I'll just get errors and it won't work. But this is my build config here. So something that you can also do is, when I upload this script updated, you could take all of these out, leave your one version in, and this script will work for that one version. And you shouldn't have any problems. But see how up here, how I have some of these makefile, apk sign, SEL, or SE Linux fixed patches? These are the same thing that all these other patches do. But these are custom ones that I need to make it compatible with Next. So that's why if you're starting out building from the beginning, it's recommended to just try building a kernel with no mods, nothing. If you can build a kernel with no mods and you can boot it, great. Then try building a kernel with SUSFS, or not SUSFS, sorry. Start building a kernel with KernelSU. If you can build it with KernelSU and you can get it to boot, great. Then start adding SUSFS. If you don't feel comfortable trying everything at once, don't do everything at once, because it is a lot of stuff to try to do everything at once, and there's a lot to. If you miss one file, you won't know if that. It might be harder for you to tell if that one file is from SUSFS, if it's from KernelSU. Like, you won't know what file you're exactly missing. So this is all for signing boot images. This might be necessary, it might not. If I were you, I wouldn't worry about this, and I would go the any kernel route. Any kernel is a lot easier. You just have to have root before you flash it. Some people say that they've used Twerp to flash, but this is the preferred app that I use right here. Whoops. Oh, perfect. Kernel Flasher. This is the app I use. Releases, and the allows error version right here. Kernel Flasher, allow errors. This is the best, in my opinion, the best one to use. It'll say build completed successfully, and you're done. So now, you want to go in, you want to go into your builds. Whoops, I didn't build it here, I built it back. Right here. In this folder, you're going to have an out folder. It's a little bit different based on if you're using Bazel or the build.sh, but on this one I'm using Bazel, so it's in the out directory, Bazel, and then it's all in here. But for what I do is I go back a folder, and then I'll now go to any kernel. I have a bunch of different ones forked for what I need. So I have them all set up for each branch. So if you ever want to use a branch, you can. You just come here, you can pick what branch you want. Git clone. Why does it do that sometimes? And then the branch you want, which I am going to go with Android 14, so -b Android 14 -5.15, and enter. And then if you go back to my build commands, oh, that's right there, I meant to say. If you go back to my build commands, you have to copy these files from the Bazel.
Is your light on? Is Sam up, or did you leave the light on?
No, Sam's up.
What's she doing usually?
And then you're going to want to do this, run this command. You want to do that in your Android kernel directory. You want to run this command. And then if you go and you look at, that any kernel 3 directory we just got, we'll have all these files in here. Now you just take these files, and you just right click, send to, compress zip. And this file right here is your file you flashed using any kernel. Anybody have any questions? I might have been muted. I don't know if I was muted. So you said what to do if the patches are incorrect. This right here tells you what files you need for the patches. These 4 right here. You only need 4 files to copy these 4 files one by one. So KernelSU needs to go in the KernelSU folder. This needs to go into the common folder. This into the FS folder inside common.